Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. The S&P 500 bears had control for the vast majority of the day, but in power hour, the bulls finally showed up. We have a couple key lines of defense that are being tested by the bulls. Is this time to buy the dip? Let's look at the charts. So again, we're looking back and comparing this pullback to the previous ones. How is it similar? How is it different? Is this for the bulls to be buying the dip? Is this the start of monthly consolidation? I have two lines of sand, two lines of defense from the bulls that I'm looking at. The first one is being tested right now, and it's this 12-hour uptrending support line on the S&P 500 futures chart. You can draw it a number of ways, but pretty much however you draw it, it's coming into play right now. This is another way that I would draw it. And again, just hitting support a bunch of times over the last 6 months. No, yep, 6 months. So here we are bouncing off that level today. So it'll be notable to me if that level breaks. If it holds, it'll be business as usual, bulls buying the dip. If that level breaks, it's not game over, because then I go to SPY and I look at the SPY weekly EMA 12, and that will be the next level to be tested shortly thereafter. And we've closed above weekly EMA 12 after many, many tests every time for the last 9 months. So those are two very key things for me. And right now, the bulls do still have control of those levels. That being said, the last couple days, bears have had some solid volume. And you'll remember, if you've been watching these videos, I often come to the defense of market bulls, where I say, yeah, we opened lower, but the bull volume is being controlled by the bulls. I care about the volume from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when it really matters. That's when the real money is at play. So the futures chart does all kinds of things. We open higher, we open lower, but I want to know what the real volume is doing. And there are many times where we see gap downs with overnight weakness, and then bulls control the entire day. And that's a significant amount of bull volume. So the past 2 days, and really the past 3 days, there's been a lot of bear volume. And I made the thumbnail for the video today. I didn't make it, but had the thumbnail made before this volume for the bulls showed up. So definitely want to make note. Bull volume did show up at the end of today. Absolutely. But before that, we would open higher. Bears controlling the day on Thursday. Open higher. All bears Friday. Open higher. All bears today, aside from the last hour. So I'm keeping an eye on that because it is bears controlling the real volume. Now what we're looking for into tonight with the S&P 500 bounce that's currently going on, can the bulls confirm an hourly trend change back in their favor? And if they do this overnight, then that's going to be a pretty solid hold of that 12-hour uptrending support line that we just looked at. So there's nothing right now that can have us saying, yes, we are confident that monthly consolidation is about to shape up. We're always watching for it, but I'm in an area of limbo right now. I don't have confidence in either direction. So you have to answer the question, are you aggressive or conservative? Aggressive bulls are buying this dip and anticipating that we're just going to see another higher low. We have OPEX, and we've got quad witching and SPY dividend this Friday. We look back at the last 4 months and can see that the 19th of every month has been the time to buy the dip. The 18th or the 19th. The 19th on this month is a Sunday, so we're going to be looking at the 17th as the potential if this pattern is going to continue. So keeping an eye on that day. Friday is a notable day for us to be watching. What else will stand out to me will be if the daily bounce gets going and then results in a lower high and lower low. That would confirm a daily downtrend. And we know that the last few times, it's just been V-shaped recovery. It's been a fast, hard drop of 2 to 4%. Most of the time, it's about 4%. And then 2.5%, 3.75. So I guess no, it is more like 2.5 to 3.5% each time. But it's been fast and hard. It happens more quickly. It's like a Band-Aid being ripped off. We V-shaped bounce to the higher high. This one's a little bit more slow and steady. We can see the pullback from the high lasted 3 days for the bottom. The pullback from the high, 3 days to the bottom. From the high, 3 days to the bottom. From the high, we're on day 6. So it's a very different shape. And because of that, the RSI levels are very different. We see the RSI on the 4-hour on the previous dips dipped down into the mid-20s, down to 20, into the upper 20s. And here so far, we've bounced off of 30. So the 4-hour RSI is not getting as oversold because it's a little bit slower and steadier on the way down. And another thing that's been a little bit tricky for me is I'm gauging who's got control here, has been watching the higher opens and being a little bit thrown off by that. Because today, even today, you know, once the bounce started at the end of the day, we were very quickly break even on SPY. But because the bears had control all day from the higher open, it felt like it was a big red day out there. So the higher opens can throw off our perception. You know, if I'm watching the 5-minute time frame and the bears have control the entirety of the day, if we open higher before that happens, it still is not very significant in terms of a percentage pullback. So at this point, we're sticking with the bulls. I'm sticking with the bulls because that is the pattern. The bears have to prove to me this time is different. And there's a couple little signs that have me paying attention, but it's not enough at this point to say, yep, this is different. So for me, I'm cautious, and this is where, you know, as a trader, I utilize my power of patience. I don't have to be in any trades. I can patiently wait for more information and more clarity. And again, aggressive bulls are buying this dip and looking for higher lows to continue, but I personally am being a bit more patient. QQQ has been our stronger sector. It's still in a daily uptrend as long as 371.97 support holds. So QQQ is what is holding up the S&P 500 because XLV is the weakest it's been in a long time. We have the all-time high. We rejected from the all-time high. Look at the increasing bear volume on the confirmed daily downtrend. So this is the weakest that the healthcare sector has been. Look at this, multiple months of just all bull. And now we've got 2 solid red weeks in a row at the moment. And that hasn't happened in 3+ months. So it is XLV leading to the downside, and QQQ is holding up, and XLF, the financial sector, is somewhat middle of the road. So I'm watching, can XLV hold the weekly EMA 12, which is held for the last 6 months? It's being tested right now. I'm watching, can QQQ keep the daily uptrend? Can the bulls confirm an hourly trend change back in their favor? And tomorrow, can we set a new daily high or low and hold 371.97? I'm watching XLF's sideways 4-day range. Today was a daily inside bar, but in the last 4 days, last 5 days, we've traded within this range of 37.55 to 38.22. How does that range break? If it breaks bull, then the broader market is going to be looking to set a higher low. And of course, it'll stand out to us, just like SPY will, if we bounce, fail the high, and confirm a daily downtrend, which would be a head and shoulders pattern, which again is possible. And as I said recently, you know, if we get a daily bounce from here, it's not blindly saying, okay, bulls have complete control. It's fine to position ourselves that way, but we do have to be cautious if downtrends were to confirm. So I'm watching XLF, tight range, over the next couple of days. The bounces today, you know, SPY really struggled to bounce, and I did play SPY bullish, looking for, I was watching a 2-minute falling wedge type pattern. I was watching this, and I went bullish on SPY with an initial entry here, and then I was going to scale into a second entry on a new low of the day, and then place my stop based on the dollar risk that I was willing to take. And we started pulling back. We didn't get the new low of the day, so I kept my 1 bull position, and then just saw the 5-minute trend change for the bulls with 0 follow through, which I know means zoom out and scout a potential hourly bear flag, which it did end up being. So I ended up stopping out with a small loss, just walking my stop up on these 5-minute higher lows. But the lesson that I learned was, and it was something I've learned many times, it was just a reminder, you know, if I'm trading SPY, I'm trading the stronger names and the weaker names all mashed together. And there's dead weight there. You know, if XLV is the weakest major sector and I'm playing SPY, I'm impacted by that. I'm not going to make as much on the way up. So the lesson is you can recognize the bullish pattern forming on SPY, but choose the stronger name. You know, I could trade an individual name because a lot of names which we're about to look at bounced a lot stronger than SPY. So I could use this setup on SPY as my guide to enter a more bullish name that didn't have the dead weight. You know, Tesla's bounce isn't going to be inhibited by the healthcare sector pulling back. So I ended up with an uneventful day today and did miss out on some bounce opportunity because of that. But the bouncers were in the financial sector and correlated sectors with the financial sector, because XLF was up a solid 1% today. And IWM as well had a solid bounce. Look at that long lower wick. So IWM started out real weak and then had a very significant bounce. And you could see, just by watching correlation, the first 15 minutes of this bounce on IWM, and you look at what was SPY doing at that point in time, 10.10 to 10.25. SPY didn't bottom until 10.15, so IWM bottomed first. And then our bounce up to 10.25 was nothing. We were still a bear flag at that point. It was a very weak bounce, while IWM went V-shape and broke resistance, short-term resistance, but very notable bounce. So the bounce winners were the names that correlated to either XLF or IWM, because what I'm doing in the first half hour of trading is I'm just staring. As I'm live streaming, I'm just trying to relay the information, who is our lead bear sector and who is our lead bull sector. And XLF clearly stood out as our lead bull sector today, and IWM did after the morning bounce. So who correlates with XLF? This is what XLF looked like on the hourly, and we ended up with the low of the day, high of the bounce, and we did hit a new low of the day, and then the bull showed up at the end of the day. But the names that correlated to XLF were much stronger, and that is the cruises, CCL, hourly bull flag attempt after the massive bounce. RCL is another cruise. The airliners correlate to the financial sector. Solid hourly bounce, trying to set up the trend change. Hotels, H, solid bounce. Gaming, Win, big time bounce. These are all the names that we've been watching correlate with XLF since COVID, however long ago that was, 300 years. And they have kept that correlation very significantly. Essentially the reopening up names, but significant bounces there today. And if you compare those bounces to NVDA or to Netflix, way stronger. Who correlates with IWM? We know it's growth names generally. What did ARKK do? Not a very significant bounce, but where we saw it was solar, TAN, the solar ETF with a very significant bounce, and EV names. So Tesla, V-shaped bounce back to the high of the day. NIO had a very impressive bounce. BLNK gave a lot of it back, but significant bounce. So EV and solar had big bounce days with IWM, and cruises, jets, hotels, gaming, all those correlating names had solid bounces with XLF. So long story short, if I had chosen any of those names, I would have had better gains than had I chosen SPY. So I can use the SPY setup, but trade other things with that setup. The question for tomorrow for all these bouncers is, can the bulls confirm hourly trend changes and follow through? And that's the question for the S&P 500 futures chart. Can we confirm hourly trend changes and follow through off that 12-hour uptrending support line? So over the weekend, I put out a video called Stairstep Trading Strategy. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But now I'm seeing them everywhere, of course. Just beautiful examples everywhere. DKNG, higher low every single candle. Broke it bearish on Friday. Big time follow through. That trade would have triggered at 62.82. And the pullback from 62.82 down 5% plus in 2 days. Other than that, we had a day trade. So, and again, I go into the details of the strategy, but you ideally want the longer term time frame to be aligning with the direction that you're looking for the pattern to trigger. So on this DKNG bounce, we had a higher low every single 5-minute candle for 11 in a row. We didn't change the 5-minute trend off the low of the day, and we saw a bounce of 3%. So that, in combination with anticipating that a 15-minute lower high would be the most likely scenario as a result of that initial bounce, had us watching for a stair-step top fishing play. It would have triggered at 60.80, and we followed through very significantly. And then we ended up with a bit of a double top and a bit more pullback, but even just that one 5-minute candle, that trade is worthwhile. That's over a 1% pullback. And again, I know a lot of people turn up their nose at 1%, but if you make 1% a day and you do it consistently, you will be rich beyond your wildest dreams if you compound your gains. So 1% a day is not an easy task. So when you get a 1% opportunity, it is worth taking. So check out that video if you haven't seen it yet. I go into a lot more detail as far as what the risk and reward is and how to set up the style and what the better ones are and all that good stuff. And we'll see if the S&P 500 bulls can prove some follow through on the bounce that only showed up in the last hour of the day, or do we see higher opens continuing to favor bear control for the majority of the trading day? I appreciate you watching. Do good things. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. So I sometimes prop the door open for Sweetie Pants to go outside, and a couple months ago, literally over 2 months, I recognized this spider was here making his web in the corner. And I thought, well, I can't close the glass door because then he's not going to be able to get any bugs. So this glass door has been propped open for literally months. So that spider can get some bugs. Seems to be doing all right. We'll see how long he lasts. So we got the last flowers of the year coming as everything else is dying off and has long gone to seed. But these purple ones are just starting. I don't know the names of any flowers, but these yellow ones will be next. And these hanging purple ones. I like these ones a lot. And the salvia did really well this year. I've never done that before. I'll do that again next year. They last really long. These flowers have been going for 3+ months. Milkweed is going to seed. This is what monarchs eat, and their caterpillars eat it. And then they put their cocoons nearby. I haven't seen any caterpillars yet, but the seeds do their thing in the wind. And the bugs that were on them didn't really do a whole lot of damage, but they'd have moved around, and they did eat this corn, which I don't care about. But they've got a whole bug army. I guess you can't see it well.